How much money do retirees actually live on? Most people couldn't give you a clear answer. They only sense that it probably falls short. We keep hearing the same warnings. Savings are lagging. Retirement feels more uncertain. Many older adults are staying in the workforce longer than expected, simply to cover basic expenses. Some lean on their children. Others depend almost entirely on public assistance. And for countless people, the dream of an easy, worry-free retirement feels out of reach. So today, let's ignore assumptions and focus on facts. Because the numbers tell a story that's more complex and more revealing than most imagine. But before we continue, a quick pause. If learning how money works before it turns into a crisis matters to you, support Marcus Invests by sharing this message. Subscribe. It helps this information reach more people, while there's still time to make changes. Now let's talk income. Despite higher retirement savings compared to the past, a large portion of retirees still rely heavily on Social Security. Data from the Social Security Administration shows roughly 12% of men and 15% of women aged 65 and older receive 90% or more of their income from Social Security alone. That's not just a supplement. It's the foundation of their finances. And this reliance isn't about poor work ethic. It usually results from limited savings, rising medical costs, and often the responsibility of helping adult children or relatives. Social Security was never meant to fully replace retirement income. It was designed to assist. Yet today, for many, it carries most of the weight. Without it, many retirees wouldn't just feel strained. They'd be forced to work far longer than their health allows, or depend entirely on family to get by. So what does retirement income truly look like? Recent figures show the median monthly income for Americans age 65 and older is about $4,200. That's slightly over $50,000 per year. But there's an important detail to consider. Not everyone over 65 has fully retired. Some still work part-time, others full-time. Most statistics don't clearly separate workers from retirees, which creates a blurry picture. In reality, retirement often happens gradually. A 2024 Fidelity survey found nearly two-thirds of Americans expect to ease into retirement rather than stop all at once. Gallup data reveals that from 2016 to 2022, about 70% of people ages 65 to 69 were retired, 83% between ages 70 and 74, and 88% for those 75 and older. Retiring early is rare. Only about 32% of people ages 60 to 64 were retired, just 11% between 55 and 59, and only 6% from 50 to 54. This highlights a key reality. For most Americans, retirement isn't a sudden switch. It's a slow transition shaped by necessity rather than preference. Location also plays a major role. In some states, retirees earn more than double what others receive elsewhere. These differences stem from lifetime wages, housing prices, state tax policies, and access to pensions. Taxes matter more than most people realize. Some states are far more welcoming to retirees. Together, these factors create a wide range of retirement incomes nationwide. But income alone doesn't define retirement comfort. To understand daily life and retirement, we also need to examine spending. And that's where things get interesting. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, Americans aged 65 and older spend around $57,800 per year on average. If that seems high, you're not wrong. It's more than the median income we just discussed. So how do retirees manage? The explanation is fairly simple. Retirees typically spend less than younger households, about $20,000 less per year on average. Work-related costs disappear. Commutes fade. Cars last longer. Many retirees have largely paid off their homes, or choose to downsize to reduce expenses. Housing costs often decrease. Transportation costs drop, and retirement contributions stop, reducing outgoing cash. But there's an uncomfortable truth hidden behind these averages. Many retirees spend more than they earn. They cover the gap using savings, Social Security, and sometimes debt. And yes, debt in retirement is far more common than many expect. About 60% of Americans over 65 carry some form of debt, including credit cards, auto loans, mortgages, and home equity loans. Debt isn't always harmful, but when income is fixed, Even small payments limit flexibility. Now factor in inflation. The cost of food, healthcare, housing, and insurance has risen faster than many retirees' incomes. Social Security does adjust for inflation, but often not enough to fully protect purchasing power. So even if benefits increase, their real value continues to erode. That's why so many retirees feel financially squeezed, even when the numbers appear stable on paper. Now let's talk about net worth. This is where confusion often begins. The median net worth of households led by someone aged 65 to 74 is roughly $410,000. For those 75 and older, it drops to about $335,000. At first glance, that sounds reassuring. But there's a catch. These figures include home equity. And for many retirees, their home is their largest asset. Once you remove housing value, liquid savings often look far smaller, which means less cash available for medical bills, emergencies, or rising living costs. A home holds value, but it doesn't pay monthly bills unless you sell it, borrow against it, or downsize. That's why Social Security remains so critical. At the start of 2024, the average monthly Social Security payment was about $1,977, or roughly $23,700 per year. Married couples receive close to double that amount. Helpful? Absolutely. Enough by itself? Rarely. This is why most retirees rely on multiple income sources: Social Security, withdrawals, and sometimes part-time work, just to maintain basic stability. And here's the key takeaway. There's a huge difference between being asset-rich and cash flow secure. You can't pay bills with wealth you can't access. You can't buy groceries with home equity. And turning assets into income always involves trade-offs. What truly matters in retirement is steady, usable income. That's why two people with the same net worth can live completely different retirements. One feels secure, the other feels constant stress. The encouraging part is this. If you're thinking about this before retirement, you're already ahead of most people. Starting early, saving consistently, and building income-generating assets. Even achieving part of the typical benchmarks, paired with Social Security and controlled spending, can dramatically improve retirement security. The goal isn't luxury. It's stability. Not worrying about essentials. Not working when your body can't keep up. Not living one emergency away from disaster. So when you hear about average retirement income, don't fixate on the number. Think about what that income actually provides. Because retirement isn't about looking wealthy on paper. It's about having money that reliably supports you every month. And that's something you can still build, step by step, starting now.